When we think about AI, we usually picture a solo act, right? One chatbot, maybe one image generator. But what if AIs started forming teams or even entire societies? That's the huge leap we're exploring today, moving from a single AI mind to a massive collective intelligence.
So let's just start with that core question. What if AI could actually work in teams? I don't just mean as separate tools we use one after another. I'm talking about a coordinated group of specialists, all working together on problems way too complex for any single AI to even think about tackling on its own.
Okay, let's really break down the difference here, because it's a big one. On the left, you've got the single agent AI we're all familiar with. It's like a lone expert. But on the right, you have a multi-agent system. This isn't just one expert, it's a whole company of AIs, each with a specific role, all collaborating. This is where AI really starts to get interesting.
So how do you actually build an AI team? Well, it's not as simple as just throwing a bunch of bots into a virtual room and hoping for the best. It really comes down to 5 key ingredients that transform that group of individual AIs into a cohesive, functioning society.
First up, the profile. You can think of this as the hiring and onboarding process for your AI dream team. Before any agent can do its job, it needs an identity, a purpose. Basically, it needs to know what it's there to do.
And we're talking super detailed profiles here. We're not just giving an AI a task. We're giving it a name, personality traits, even things like life goals and social relationships with the other agents. It's all about making sure each AI is perfectly tailored for its role in the bigger system.
All right, so we've built our agents. They've got profiles. But how do they actually think and act? This brings us to the next 2 components, perception and self-action, which are pretty much the agent's cognitive engine.
So perception is basically the agent's senses. It's how it sees, reads, and hears what's going on in its environment, whether that's real or totally virtual. This is all the raw data that's going to fuel every decision it makes.
And all that info it perceives flows directly into the agent's memory, which you can think of as its brain. But this is not just some static database, okay? It's a really dynamic system for storing experiences and knowledge that directly shapes whatever that agent is going to do next.
So the agent's memory works in this cool 3-step cycle. First, it stores new experiences. Simple enough. Then, it retrieves relevant memories whenever it needs them for a task. And finally, and this is the real game changer, it reflects on those experiences to generate totally new, higher-level insights. This is how an AI doesn't just act, but actually learns and gets smarter over time.
So now, with both perception and memory in place, the agent can actually reason and plan. It can look at all the information it has, come up with a strategy, and decide on the absolute best course of action. It's basically turning raw knowledge into a concrete, actionable plan.
Okay, so we have individual agents that can think for themselves. That's cool. But the real magic happens when they start working together. And that brings us to our last 2 components, interaction and evolution. This is all about how the team collaborates and, crucially, improves.
And how do you even organize a team of AIs? Well, you've got options. You could set them up in a classic corporate hierarchy, or maybe a decentralized structure, kind of like a bunch of friends brainstorming. You could have a project manager leading the team, or even a shared knowledge base that everybody contributes to. The best structure? It always depends on the task at hand.
Now, when we say interaction, it's not always about everyone getting along perfectly. Just like in the real world, AI agents can cooperate to solve a problem, or they can go into debate mode to stress test ideas from every possible angle. Sometimes a little bit of friendly competition is the best way to get amazing results.
And finally, we have evolution. This is the team's secret sauce, its ability to learn from its mistakes and its victories. It's just like a human team doing a project post-mortem, right? The whole group reflects on what went right, what went wrong, and figures out how to be better next time. It's continuous improvement, built right into the system.
Phew! Okay, we've built our team. They can think, they can work together, they can improve. So now for the million-dollar question, what can they actually do? Let's get into some of the incredible, real-world applications for these AI societies.
Generally, the applications fall into 2 pretty mind-blowing categories. First, solving incredibly complex problems in fields like science and engineering. And second, creating unbelievably realistic world simulations for research and planning.
So take software development, for instance. You could have an entire company of AI agents. We're talking managers, coders, testers, the whole shebang, that can take a simple idea and turn it into a fully functional app.
They'd automate that entire complex process from start to finish.
But in science, this gets even more exciting. These AI teams can become fully autonomous labs. They could design new medicines, plan the experiments to test them, and then analyze the results, dramatically, and I mean dramatically, speeding up the pace of scientific discovery.
And thinking bigger, on a societal scale, they can simulate our own complex world. We could model how an entire economy might react to a new policy, or predict how a disease might spread through a population. This lets us test drive solutions before we ever have to implement them in the real world.
So what's the big picture here? What's the takeaway?
Well, this isn't just another small iterative step for AI. This move from solo AIs to full-on AI societies is a giant leap in what artificial intelligence can be and what it can ultimately achieve.
And let's be clear, the researchers behind this work are aiming incredibly high. They see this as a direct path toward artificial general intelligence, AGI. The idea is that these AI societies, through collaboration, learning, and evolution, could one day match or even surpass human intelligence.
And this leaves us with a truly massive question. We're not just building tools anymore, we're literally designing societies. So, as we step into this new era, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of society do we want our AIs to build? What rules should they live by?